Hi, everybody. It is Kendéll Lenice, and welcome to Kendéll Lenice Live. I'm so glad that you decided to spend this moment with us. Time is a commodity we can't get back, so I'm grateful and thankful that you are here. Today, I have an amazing guest, and we're going to talk to him about everything from elementary school to college, the state of Black students, the Black student survival when it comes to today's world, social media, what's happening in the schools, and so much more. I'm excited to have my guest today, Eugene Williams. All right, let me read his bio. Let me get some water and catch my breath because the man has been doing things his whole career, starting as a child actor, which I'll talk about. So Eugene Williams Jr. received a BA in English from Emory University in 1991 and a master's of educational leadership from the University of Mary, Washington in 2007. He is a writer, a speaker, an educator, and a former child star who has appeared on stage and screen as well as television with celebrities such as Bill Cosby, Ossie Davis, Ray Charles, Pearl Bailey, Stephanie Mills, and more. In 1978, he became the first Black child in a major reoccurring role as on the highly acclaimed CBS soap opera Search for Tomorrow. Eugene has authored 6 books, including It's a Reading Thing, Help Your Child Understand. His books and opinions have been featured in Jet Magazine, Black Excellence, The Washington Post, a variety in various national publications. He has also been a guest contributor on NBC, CBS, CNN, and BET. Eugene spent 27 years as a public school educator. He has served as a teacher in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. He has been an assistant principal both for middle and high school levels, and most recently spent 5 years as a high school principal. Eugene lives in Virginia with his lovely wife, Jewel, a former elementary school principal, I should say. Their daughter, Paige, is a professional artist and entrepreneur with a master's degree in journalism from Georgetown University. I need my water. Somebody get my water. I'm parched. That was a lot. And now welcoming Kendéll, Eugene Williams to Kendéll Lenice Live.
Hello, how are you?
That was a lot. Hey, Eugene.
It was. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. That was lovely.
Yes, you've been doing big things your whole career. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me on Kendéll Lenice Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the time.
You're welcome. So when you hear your bio back to you, what does that feel like? And does it feel like another world, or does it feel like, yeah, I did all of that? Because it's quite impressive.
It feels like both. It feels like that was a lifetime ago, but yes, I did accomplish all of that. And some days, when I'm feeling my age, I could truly appreciate how much work was done. But no, it's been a great life, and I've had a lot of different opportunities and experiences and challenges, and I wouldn't trade anything for it. So I'm just grateful to be here at this stage in my life, having done the things that I have had the blessing to be able to do.
I absolutely love that. So before we get started on the serious stuff when it comes to education and our children and what's happening in the schools and beyond, with how social media plays a big part in it, let's talk about the childhood star Eugene. Tell the people what you did as a child and what commercials you were in, because I know, like me, some of them are old enough to remember these commercials. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I don't want to date myself or date anybody else. I'm an old head now at this point in my life, but if you were watching TV in the early and mid 70s, you would remember me from the first Jello pudding commercial with Bill Cosby. You would remember me as the first purple grape from the Fruit of the Loom back to school campaigns. You would remember me
Wow, I remember
as
that.
the little black boy that was fishing on the side of the pond for the Sunbeam bread commercials. You would remember me as the little boy out of the DC area. You would remember me as a little boy who ran up this hill with a little girl going towards Lincoln Memorial holding potato chips in her hands. So it
Wow.
goes on and on and on. And I did that. You would remember me. Those of you that have grandmothers that used to watch the soaps would remember me from Search for Tomorrow. I was the first Black child in a recurring role back in the 70s, late
Wow.
70s, in the soap opera Search for Tomorrow. And I did movies and I did guest spots on different things. And so I've just been very, very blessed. I was even in musicals. I was in the touring cast of the musical Shenandoah with John Raitt, who was a star, and his daughter.
Wow.
Those who follow music, Bonnie Raitt, the singer, is his daughter. And so I've had a blessing to do a
Yeah.
lot of things with a lot of people. And so that's just
Wow.
a covering of sprinkling, but it's been a good life. It was definitely a fun childhood.
Wow, it sounds like it. And when I'm thinking about when you said the child in the Fruit of the Loom commercial, like I vividly remember that commercial. Did you have like a little afro?
I didn't have an
You had like
afro.
a
I had an
little
afro under
afro
the purple helmet. I had a circular purple
under
helmet,
purple.
probably
It
looked
was
like an afro, but
no,
I
I
had a
remember
circular
that.
purple helmet. I was covered in little grape balls all over my body.
I remember that. And you said another one. I'm picturing not the pudding one. You said another one, and I'm picturing those commercials back in the day. I remember those commercials vividly. So I would love.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go to YouTube later to see if some of them are on there. That's very cool.
you probably can still find some of them on YouTube, probably somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. You still some would be all in your business. You still getting residuals.
Oh no, dear, that residuals ran out
They were
about the age of 10 or 12. Those residuals
that
been
was it.
gone. That was
That was
it.
it.
That was it.
But what a
Nah,
but what a
it was good
beautiful
while it lasted. Those
legacy that
residuals went away quick.
you Hmm.
Well, no, the residuals are long gone. It was good while it
Yeah,
lasted, but those residuals faded away very quickly.
right. With some actors, I started out acting and stuff when I was a child as well. And I look at some actors who are on, TikTok, and we're going to talk about social media, and they open up their residual checks and they have gotten them since they were little. And some of them are like 10 cent, 25 cent, $2.50
Right,
with
right.
that. So
Absolutely.
did you think about going into acting as you got older, or was education? How did you end up leaving acting and being in that business and going into education?
Well, my last real acting job was out of college. I was a featured player on a local TV show called In Our Lives out of WUSA, Washington, D.C.,
Mhm.
Channel 9. Um, but at that
Mhm.
point, I kind of been in and out of the business for a while. I was going really strong from about ages of 4 to the age of 13. And then I wanted to go back
Mhm.
to school and kind of be a regular kid for a while. And so both my parents are former educators. Both
Mhm.
they're gone now, rest their souls. But it was in my blood, and so I figured at some point in my life, after having been in college classrooms with my father, while he was a teacher at Howard University and a dean at Sojourner Douglas College, after
Yeah.
having been in professional
In
development meetings with
Baltimore.
my mother when she was the regional director of language arts in Dade County Public Schools, I knew at
Mhm.
some point education was going to be a part of my destiny. Yeah. So when I
Yeah.
graduated from Emory University, I was looking for something to do. And I had the opportunity to work as a librarian at Jefferson Junior High School in Washington, D.C. for a
Wow.
while. Uh,
Wow.
I was doing that during the day while I was a singing waiter on the Spirit of Washington cruise ship in the evening.
Come on, Spirit of Washington.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Get
indeed. I go back
on
that
there.
far. And
Wow.
shortly thereafter, I did some nonprofit work a little bit after that. And then I became a center director for Sylvan Learning Systems for about a year or two.
Mm,
And then I said, I want to get
yeah.
back in the classroom. I want to get with everyday students. I want to, affect a broader variety and a larger number of students. So I found a job as an English teacher in the Prince George's County Public Schools in Maryland, at Crossland Senior High School.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, went on to become a Dean of Communication Skills at Tech World Public Charter High School in Washington, D.C. Then
Mm-hmm.
from there, became a teacher, English teacher, and a football coach at Orange County High School in Virginia. And it goes on and on and on. Eventually became an assistant principal
Wow.
and became a principal. And 27 years later, I'm just enjoying the fruits of that experience.
Wow. I mean, that's an impressive resume. And it sounds like you were able to do, because most people, when they get into business, that creative side, they usually push that to the side and then they focus on that, the other side of the brain, if you will. And you were able in a lifetime to experience both. What was that
Right.
like, being well rounded, being that creative person, the singer, singing waiter, to assistant and principal of a high school?
Well, there were a lot of
Because I
moments
think
that
that that's beautiful. That's well rounded.
there were a lot of moments that bridged those 2 points in my life. In between that, I was
Hmm.
writing books. I wrote
Yeah,
several books between that at that time, and I was able to be featured on BET and CBS and other things, the Rolanda
yeah,
Show, a
yeah.
lot of different
Oh, yeah,
opportunities with regards to that. So I was reconciling my artist side with my
yeah.
educational side all the way in between.
I love
Um,
it.
but it's just one of those things where I come from educators. And so I really didn't have a choice. All I'd ever known was seeing my parents in classrooms or in professional developments or in speaking opportunities. And so I just said, well, they do it. It's going to be passed down to me, whether I like it or not. And it was. But I have enjoyed the career. I've enjoyed it because I had a chance to affect hundreds of students' lives, maybe thousands. And even to this day, I
Yeah,
still
I'm
get a chance to
sure.
talk to several of my students. I was invited a couple of months ago to a wedding of one of my former slash students and football players. And that
Wow.
was great to talk to them and to have them talk to their kids and say, this is Coach Williams. He taught me African American
Yeah,
history, and he used to say
I
these
love
things to
it.
me, which made me the person I am today. And so when I saw the children of my former students still being influenced by the things I said to their fathers and mothers,
Wow,
I said, hey, man, that's a beautiful thing.
that's powerful. It's powerful. And as an educator in elementary school, um, I think about the things that I teach them, even something as simple as teaching some of the younger ones how to make a star, right?
Yes.
I remember when
Yes.
I was little, I used to just make stars all the time. And for me to teach that, and I'm hearing, oh, yeah, she taught me how to make a star, or I made a star. Remember, you taught me how to make a star. Remember, you taught me this, or remember, you taught me that. And I look at these little young bodies and I'm like, this is going to be something that they're going to take with them for forever.
They'll
So,
remember
how does
forever.
that from remember forever? So how fulfilling is that to know that, like you said, with your former students and their children, that you really have made an impact in their lives going through legacy?
It's
Outside of those moments, do you ever sit and think about, like, wow, because your wife as well as an educator?
We do, and it's overwhelming because we see these adults now that we knew when they were 13, that we knew when they were uh, sometimes 6 and 7 years old.
Mhm.
For example, my wife was an elementary administrator,
Mhm.
and I was a middle and high administrator. So there's a whole generation of students
Mhm.
who had the Williams family. I
Mhm.
had Mrs. Williams from first to fifth grade,
Mm.
and then from sixth to 12, I ran up against Mr. Williams. And so, when they see us together,
Mhm.
we're kind of like those, extra family members, second parents, if you will, because they were with us the entire way. And so we always are happy to see them, at events or at malls or when we stop for gas in the community. We say, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" and see how they progressed in life and how they've done some great things. And I've
Right.
just been blessed with working with kids even at a
Right.
young age. Because before I became a teacher on the high school level, I worked for Sylvan Learning Systems as a center director, and we worked out of a elementary school in
With
Baltimore,
Wi-Fi. I'm
Hartford
not
Heights
sure what's
Elementary.
going on. We're talking to Eugene Williams and talking about the impact that one can make
Can you
on
hear me?
the life of a student. You kind of went out a little bit. Yep, you kind of went out a little bit. But that's awesome for them to be able to see you and your wife and say, this Williams family, like you said, has made an impact on me
Yeah,
that's going to
yeah,
last generations. So,
sure.
what made you decide to get out of the school system? What made you retire? Because you retired in
Well,
2023, correct?
yes, June 2023. Well, here's the thing, a couple of things. I realized that I had been
Got you.
involved in education over, for almost 3 decades. And I'm getting to an age where there's still some things I want to do with
Yeah.
my life before I get into the twilight of my life. And so I decided now was the time to do it. Plus the fact the
Yeah.
kids were staying the same age, but I was
Yeah.
getting older. And so I thought now, while I'm still young enough to enjoy some things, let me move on to the next phase of life.
Right.
So that's what really motivated me more than anything else,
Yeah.
just to do
Yeah.
that, just to start trying new things,
Good
and
for
now to go
you.
out
Good.
and talk to other teachers, talk to younger teachers, talk to administrators, and speak to them on the issues they're dealing with today, and have somebody who has some experience and remembers way back when, and try to impart some knowledge upon them as well, if possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that, what are some of the younger teachers, I know, by seeing what I see, but what are some of the things that you're talking about that the younger teachers are experiencing with children today? Because I said to you, like, some of the COVID kids or people that experienced the pandemic are slightly different. And what was your answer?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Yes, I
now?
can hear you now.
Okay. No,
Hmm.
my answer for that was, I want to tell this to all the young teachers out there, and I know I'll get some pushback, and that's okay. There's nothing new under the sun with regards to student behavior. Okay.
Hmm.
Students are cursing teachers out now. They were cursing teachers out 20, 30 years ago. Students are fighting in school now. They were fighting 20 and 30 years ago. The only difference is now that there is social media and the phones, we're in a state of what I call permanent surveillance in this country. So everything you do is recorded. So if every time you turn around on Snapchat and Facebook and IG and X and Twitter and all of that, if all you see are kids disrespecting teachers, kids putting hands on teachers, uh, kids fighting each other, teachers
Yeah.
complaining about what's wrong with schools, you'll begin to think that everything is just absolutely terrible all over the country. Now, that's not to say that there aren't some major areas of concern, but um, don't be I would tell all new teachers,
Yeah.
don't be a prisoner of the moment. And just remember, we're being exposed to more than we ever have before. But
Mm.
the same issues that you all are talking about
Yeah.
in your content creation are the same issues that teachers have been talking about in the faculty rooms and the faculty lounges since the 1980s.
Wow. So that's interesting that you say that, because TikTok has a whole educator um platform where they talk about it. My youngest daughter, she doesn't do it on TikTok, but she's in year 3 of teaching. She's a new teacher, one of the new teachers you're speaking about. Um but on TikTok, you go on TikTok, there's a whole space for teachers, and that's what their content is, their classroom, their students, what they're wearing, what they're doing. And do you think that social media and trying to get likes, do you think that that affects the learning, or do you think that it enhances the learning, where children know that they're on TikTok and they know that they're being recorded, and does that help or hinder, you think?
I think like in anything, technology, if used properly, can advance things, and if used improperly, can
Mhm.
retard things. I want
Mhm.
teachers to know that no matter what they post on social media, or no matter what new innovative teaching styles they're trying to impart upon the kids, there are some basic things that stay the same and are timeless year after year after year. They worked in 1980, they'll work in
Mhm.
2023. Let's talk about
Yeah.
elementary school students, for example, and the whole idea of
Mhm.
reading.
Mhm. Mhm.
This,
Oh.
this,
Oh. Oh.
this, first of all, the
Whew.
whole idea that uh, teaching is hard now because the kids can't read. Well, I have news for the teachers. And this is a Googleable fact. 54% of all Americans read on the sixth grade level or lower. So the kids aren't reading because America has not made reading a priority, number one. Let's keep that in mind. So now it's our job to roll up our sleeves and teach the kids. One of the things we can do is get back to phonics, get back to consonant blends, get back to diphthongs, get back to syllables, get back to all those things. It worked with me, it worked with my dad. It's going to work with these kids today. That's one. Number two, when it comes to mathematics, if your
Talk
child
about
is
it.
in the fourth grade, and you can say I'm a dinosaur as much as you want to,
Talk
this is
about it.
27 years of experience on all three levels, elementary, middle, and high. If your child has reached the fourth grade and cannot remember his multiplication tables from 1 through 12, algebra is going to be a monster for him or her. It's going to be a monster. You can't have a kid in algebra counting on his fingers. That's the recipe for disaster. That child's attitude towards math you'll never be able to get it back the way you want it to. So I know we talk about old style and old school, and this is 2024, not 1984. I know all of that, but I was around as a student in 84, and I was around as an administrator in almost 24. And I can tell you, as a student, as a person who attended private schools, I attended private schools as a child. So the person who's attended private schools, as a person who has seen what goes on as a teacher and an administrator in private, public, and charter schools, I'm telling you, those are two things that we could do to help our students out right away. Get back to phonics and get back to the importance of rote memorization of multiplication and division facts when it comes to math. Now,
Let me
people
tell
won't
you something.
agree, but I promise you, it's the truth.
Let me tell you something, Eugene. That's what I do. I teach children reading and math and go in and get the ones who are struggling. That's what I do. And when I tell you you're telling the truth, these children, I'm just going to keep it real. They can't read. They can't do math. They don't know math facts. They can't recall like this. The formulas are really messing with them. I still teach them the old math. I know this new math. Some of the things I still teach them in a certain way, because with certain kids you can't, all of that other stuff you got to teach them straight. And when it comes to reading, what's happening in the schools, and what I'm seeing in elementary school, they no longer can leave your child back. Like back when I was little, oh, you're going to get left back until you get what you're supposed to get.
Right.
Now, when I first went back into the school system, I was like, so what do you mean? What do you mean this child is in the fourth grade and he does not know, or she does not know how to spell the, and these are our little black children in the school that I'm in a higher, it's not, and it's not what the stigma in society says. It's the inner city. This is not the inner city. These are parents, with a nice coin, right? And it's in the county. So I was like, so you mean to tell me that he or she cannot pronounce the, or is, or can't spell that, and they're in the fourth grade? So now they're getting ready to go to the fifth grade. They're getting ready to go to the sixth grade. And they don't know. And we just let them go. And they were like, yeah. I was like, something is wrong, especially because these children look like me. Something is wrong with that. What do you say to it now that they just can matriculate all the way through, and then they'll become someone's employer, employee, husband, wife, mother, father, and it stopped in the 3rd and 4th grade where they can't pronounce words, recognize words, cite words, nonsense words, and they can't make it through. I know we're going to have to do a part 2 with you because there's so much to unpack
I
and to
think
talk
that
about here.
I think that one of the things I understand both sides of that issue. First of all, I do believe that in certain cases, some students
Yeah.
need to be held back. I hate to use that term, but to repeat a grade until they get the information and the knowledge they need to move on to the next level. I understand that. I also understand the argument where it talks about you don't want an 18-year-old kid in class with 14-year-old students. That's a recipe for disaster as well. But what I will
I
say
graduated from high school at 17, and the oldest person that graduated with me, I'm not going to say his name, he was 20.
And I remember those times too.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is this: we have to realize, number one, that before we complain about what the kids can't do,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I talk to the teachers about. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to say what the kids can't do. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if they could do it, they wouldn't need us.
They would need a teacher. Come on.
And the same thing happens also in advanced placement courses and dual enrollment courses. I have teachers who are teaching the advanced courses. I've had teachers who say, well, these people have to get out of my class because I just can't support them. They need more help than I can give them. I said, wait a minute, hold on. In all their regular level classes, they did very, very well. Now, they're moving up to a new level. This is a challenge for them. So they will need support as well as instruction. And if given that, they'll do well. Just because kids are in an advanced class doesn't mean they don't need to be taught. They still need to be taught. And so that's one of the things I think as African-American parents, we have to be very, very aware of in terms of the types of people that are in front of our students in our schools.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be involved parents. We have to try our best to know the motivations of the teachers and the administrators in the school.
Yep.
So they want our kids to do well. And I firmly believe, I could be naive, I think most teachers, regardless of race, creed, or color, want all the students to do well. But we also know that there are differences, cultural differences, differences in upbringing and beliefs in neighborhoods that kind of sometimes get in the way of that. And so we have to do whatever we can to bridge those gaps and get all teachers on board with educating all students, because I know this for a fact.
Yeah.
We have African-American students out here that are doing fantastic things, that are doing great things when they get the opportunity and the access and the support. There's no telling how far they can go. So to keep that in mind, but also just, from a real standpoint, mommy and daddy out there, be involved in what your kids are learning, or at least try to. Don't just trust because you're sending them to school that everything is going to be okay. Because here's the thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you learn in school, but there's a whole bunch of stuff you don't learn in school. And if you're depending on only what you learned in school to hold you throughout your entire life, you're going to be so disappointed. You got to do outside reading. Take your kids to the neighborhood library. There's still libraries in the hood. Like, take these kids to the libraries and let them see books about African-American heroes. Let them find out about Toussaint Louverture in Haiti. Let them find out about Alexander Dumas, who wrote the Three Musketeers. Let them find out about Matthew Henson, the first man to be on the North Pole, black man. See, if when kids know who they are and whose they are and who they come from, that
where they
changes
come from,
about what they're learning and what they want to do.
Yes, so good. And we're in the Baltimore, DC area. The museums are free, and it amazes me how so many don't even know or don't even go. The Smithsonian's in DC are free. The Baltimore, not all of them, but many of the museums are free. And in your area, check out museums to see if they're free. And like, you're right, when students know who they can become and who they are and where they're from, that makes a difference. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions, but go ahead. Go ahead. You want to say
But
something?
Kendall, I wanted to say something. Since you mentioned the Baltimore area, I have an affinity for the Baltimore area. See, because you're looking at a
Mm-hmm.
person who went to the
Yes,
McDonough School in
me too.
Baltimore. Okay, so
Oh,
yeah,
that's not too far from me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as a person who was an African American student in the mid '70s at the McDonough School, one of the
Mm-hmm.
most prestigious schools on the East Coast, and
It
one of a
is.
handful of Black students in a room,
Yep.
whose father told him, son, every time you do a book report in that class, which is going to be 75%, 80% white, you're going to do a book report about a Black person. That's what my father told me was going to happen. That's what's going to
That part.
happen. So you're going to educate yourself,
That's what's going to
educate
happen.
others around you. So
Yeah.
there was no
I love
option.
that.
That's what we
I
did.
love that.
But
That's
Baltimore
good.
especially, it is an area rich in culture and
Mm-hmm.
vibrant and got some brilliant people, brilliant Black
Mm-hmm.
people in
Yeah.
Baltimore. Kurt
Yeah.
Schmoke
Yeah.
and all the different judges and the leaders. And all.
Yeah.
Baltimore is rich in Black excellence. So there's
That's
really
so
no
true.
reason why our kids should be behind in any area.
Whew. Whew. That's so true. I got two more questions, but are you willing to do a part two?
I'll do a part 3 and a part 4 with
All
you.
right, come on now, Eugene. All right, so I want to ask, how can parents help their children to be prepared for elementary school before they even get there? And I know we're
Oh,
talking a little bit about that now, but how can tell them what
this is one of the books
it
I
is?
wrote. One of the books I co-wrote with my father, Dr. Eugene Williams Sr., called "It's a Reading Thing, Help Your Child Understand." If you think about back in the '90s when they used to say it's a Black thing you wouldn't understand, we said no, it's a reading thing, help your
Mm-hmm.
child
Mm-hmm.
understand. And there's a
Yeah.
couple of things you can do very early on. Number one, go back and do what TV used to do. When I was coming up, after school, you had Sesame Street, Zoom,
Yes, Schoolhouse
the Electric
Rock.
Company.
Zoom.
You, yep, you had, and if you want to learn
I
Spanish, you
love
had Vila Alegre. You had, Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock.
There was a time
Lecture
when
Company.
Electric Company, yes, Electric Company, Bill Cosby and Morgan Freeman, Rita Moreno, all
Come
from the Electric Company.
on, Electric Company. That
What
was
cast
my
that was, okay?
man. Oh
So,
man.
but before there was, I used to call it Saturday Night Live for kids, the Electric Company. That's what it
Yeah, I
was.
love the Electric Company.
But the thing is,
Zoom.
you would
Mm-hmm.
go and you would watch those shows after school and on Saturday mornings. And as a kid from birth to 4, you were already exposed to so many things that by the
Yep.
time you got to the classroom, you knew your ABCs, you knew the parts of
Yep.
speech, you knew about
Yep.
multiplication, you knew that you were a bill that had to be signed into
I knew
law.
Spanish.
You all of that.
Yes, I'm only a bill. Come on.
It's a bill. But they
Yeah.
both went on
No,
Capitol
you're so
Hill.
right.
Okay. So you knew all of that. Verb, that's
Yep.
what's happening. You knew all of that
Yep.
stuff, right?
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
what we've got to do, since television has decided to go to dumb itself down and go away from that,
That part.
find those old tapes because they're fun and little kids still like them even now and show those to them. That's one. Number
Yeah.
2, you want to read to your kids as often as you can. Get those I Can Read books, those Dr. Seuss books,
Yep.
those small books, and sit them in your lap and
Yep.
read to them and show them the pictures as you read. That
Right.
helps with them. If they see you reading and they see you as a parent with interest in reading, they'll start to read. I'll never forget a story that my father used to tell me, God rest his soul, about how his father left school in middle school to help the family out.
Mm-hmm.
But every morning he saw his father reading the newspaper or at least leafing through it.
Yeah.
And so that's what triggered him to want to read. He said, I didn't know till later that daddy couldn't read the newspaper. He was just doing that as a model
Mm.
to help me get a love for reading.
To show. Oh, that's
And
powerful.
That's
powerful.
some of the things that
Powerful.
we can do. And also, I will tell parents, use your resources to your benefit. We have to
Yeah.
prioritize how we spend money on our kids.
Yeah.
The sneakers are nice, the
Yeah.
clothes are nice, but if you can take a portion of that money and invest
Yeah.
in a Huntington Learning Center or a Silver
Yeah.
Learning Center or something after
Yep.
school to supplement what the school is doing.
Yeah.
Help your child with, or a mathnasium to help your
Yeah.
child reading and math after school to supplement what
Yeah.
the school is doing. You're going to see it pay off great dividends. So
Yeah.
those are things that parents can do even at a young
I
age.
love that. All right, we have 3 minutes left, but I want to squeeze these in so as precise as possible because we're going to have a part two. I wanted to ask two things, and you just kind of covered that, why reading is the key to overall academic success. And I wanted to ask, how can public school educators increase the number of Black male students in advanced honors and advanced placement in dual enrollment classes? So I
Okay,
know that's a mouthful. If you could quickly answer
I'll try
those
to
two.
squeeze it into 3 minutes. Here's something that I did when I was
Okay.
an assistant principal in Orange County. What we did was we talked about the fact that there was a lack of enrollment, especially of African American males in these advanced level courses, AP courses, dual enrollment, what have you.
Mhm.
So what we decided to do was create a situation where we appealed to the community. And we said, we want to create a program where we get these young men encouraged and let them know how brilliant they are so that they'll want to be a part of these systems. We want to increase the enrollment. First thing we did was we identified all the African-American male students that were doing well in their regular level classes. That's the first thing we did. The second thing we did was we went to the community and we got the help of the pastors, because in a lot of the Black communities, churches were big. And we had the pastors try to encourage their young men who they knew who were doing well in school to join our program. Then we worked with the University of Virginia for a summer program where the kids would learn the 9 constructs of a Black scholar. And that was given to us by Dr. Gilman Whiting and Dr. Donna Ford of Vanderbilt University. We taught them those 9 constructs. We taught them about Black history. We taught them about the brilliance of themselves and the brilliance of the people they come from. And we encouraged them to enroll in these classes. And a lot of these Black boys didn't want to enroll in these classes because they said, that's for the white kids. And we had to convince them, we had to reprogram them and let them know that advanced courses are not just for white kids. Brilliance is not just for white people. Brilliance is universal if you have
Amen.
access to it and you use it. And so we
Yeah.
did that. Long story short, we can get into it in more detail next time we talk. But out of that program, just about everybody, I would say maybe close to 80% of the boys involved in that program went to 4-year institutions.
Mhm.
One of the graduates of the program recently got a full ride athletically and academically to Harvard University. He's a wrestler, black male student.
Wow.
We had kids go to Harvard, kids go to UVA, kids go to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill out of that program. All great schools all over the country. And that was out of a small little rural county in Orange, Virginia, where I was an assistant principal. So it can happen anywhere. If it can happen in Orange County,
Wow.
Virginia, it can sure as
Wow.
heck happen in Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C.
Come on.
And
Come
this was and
on.
this was and
I
this was a
love
system that
that.
was not predominantly Black. This was a system that was predominantly white with a minority
Wow.
of Black students. And here's the one thing I want people to remember across the country when it comes to minority students. It's very important in our urban areas to push the academic success of our minority students. But in
Yeah.
those rural areas where there's just a small number of people of color,
Yeah.
who's going to push them? Who's going to
Yeah.
inspire them? So we
Yeah.
have to work on both rural and urban systems to
Yeah.
make this happen for our students of color, men and
That's
women.
powerful. That's powerful. And reading, and if you could do it under 60 seconds, why reading is so crucial to our overall success.
If you can read, you can do a word problem. If you can read, you can sign a contract.
Come
If you
on.
can read, you can interpret what somebody is saying to you or put it on a piece of paper so you know if you're being messed over or not.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you can read, you can do science. Reading is the key to everything. Those who are good readers and know how to take the information that they've seen and create
Yeah.
knowledge from it are going to be better off
Yeah.
than those who cannot. So for those who
Yeah.
say, college and reading and all that stuff is, but last thing before I go, these clowns out here
Uh-oh.
who are telling you
Uh-oh.
that college isn't what all it's wrapped up to be. Let these kids get a trade. Listen, I'm all for trades, because trades can make you money. So if you want to go into the world of work right away after school, do that. But don't poo-poo college. Do not. Because here's the thing you have to remember. All those people in Washington, D.C., who make decisions about how we live,
Mm,
the air we breathe, the food we eat, the
mm.
schools we go to, the rent we pay, all those people, or I should say about 89 to 90% of those people, all have college degrees or advanced degrees. Heck, most of them are lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's create a
Wow.
school system where kids have options. We're not going to say go to trade school or go to college. We're going to say we're going to prepare you in such a way that whatever track you decide to go, you're going to be successful. If you want to go to college, we can make that happen. If you want to be a
You're going to
plumber,
be
we can make that
successful.
happen too. You're going to be
That's right.
successful.
We got to
That's
speak
what
into the
options,
lives of
and
these
especially for Black
children.
people, options are the key.
Yeah. Options are the key. What? Okay, this is part one. We're gonna have Eugene said he'll do part four. He'll do one, two, three. We're definitely gonna work on our schedules and get Eugene to come back for part two because this conversation needs to continue. My channel is all about changing the narrative in the Black community. It's important for me to do that, to see and to talk about different things because we can talk about a lot of foolishness, but we need to talk about these children and the future of these children and being a part, not just as an educator, as a profession, but as parents to educate these children in a way that can sustain them throughout their lives. Eugene, please quickly tell the people how they can get in contact with you and how they can purchase your book.
www.eugenewilliamsjr.com. You can also see me on Instagram at EUGWILLJR. You can also find me on TikTok at Eugene Williams Jr. But if you go to my website, you can find out all the information that you need to know.
All right. Thank you so much for being a guest on Kendéll Live. I mean, this was amazing. And we're going to definitely have to do a part two and a part three to continue this conversation. Quickly, is there anything that you want to inspire I was going to say the children listening and their parents as we close?
Let me tell you one thing. We are entering a world where what you know and what you can offer is going to be the most important thing. So make sure students of color, parents of color, encourage your kids to take an interest in school and education. And not only that, broaden their knowledge on a variety of topics.
Yes.
Because we're entering an era where, regardless of what your color is, if you can provide knowledge that no one else can provide, you're going to be on top.
That's it. That's all. This is Kendéll Live. That is my guest, educator, speaker, author, former childhood star, Eugene Williams Jr. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today, and you are going to inspire somebody. You were dropping some jewels, so I appreciate that. Bye for now. Remember, be well, be healthy, and be whole. Thank you for watching Kendéll Live. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. You are a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace. Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you.